just flip-flops on, singing to that highway song. Got a little naive smile, the kind that drives you out. Nothing like playing with fire, brings boy to life. Be with the fuse you light, you're good, you're dynamite. You made my day.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
14:20 in the morning, 14 minutes and 20 seconds worth of sports talk to get you through your daily commute. Hot takes, recaps, best bets, and a little humor to get your day going in the right direction. Sit back, grab your coffee, and let's get into it. All right, 14:20 in the morning for this 11th day of October 2023. Today's show, as always, is brought to you by SeatGeek.com and the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420pod at SeatGeek.com today for $20 off your first purchase there at SeatGeek. Get yourself some hockey tickets. NHL season it got going last night. We'll get to that in half a second. But remember, we are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Go to bellyupsports.com for all their great articles and other great podcasts that are on there as well, such as the Corner Booth podcast, Rise to the Occasion, and my favorite, the boys over at Crap Brewed Sports, who put on another entertaining show last night. Caesar, he makes me laugh. And knowledge that boy has for for football, well, college football, but football in general is second to none for a guy his age. It's something to behold on a weekly basis. They have a lot of fun there. The Crap Brewed Sports podcast. So make sure you guys give that a listen. Thank you very much for joining us each and every day here from 1420 World Headquarters. We appreciated it very much. Go to the new and improved and new content being added daily, the 1420sportsbar.com, where we're doing articles on there now and everything else in the online shop, and everything 1420 is right there for you, for your viewing pleasure and reading pleasure and listening pleasure and everything else we got going on there. Anyways, the NHL season, it got rolling last night. It was the Connor Bedard show in Pittsburgh. They ended up winning, I think it was 3-1 or 4-2. It doesn't much matter. Bedard got the one assist. He he likes shooting the puck. There's no getting around that. He had a lot of chances from the slot, a lot of shots he took, some missed the net, but he had some opportunities last night to maybe get a goal. He looks a little bit small. He looks small-ish out there. He wasn't going to grow over the summer. No one really expected that, but he just kind of looked a bit not, I don't want to say frail because that's not really the right term, but he just looked small-ish compared to the rest of some pretty big boys that playing in the National Hockey League. So that's something that maybe he's got to put on a few more pounds. He just looks like a little kid out there in comparison to some of the big boys that are playing out there. But it's just one of those things that's just when you're a young kid, the spotlight's on you, and you probably wouldn't notice that if he was just a fourth round draft pick or whatever else. But he'll have a good career. We talked about that a lot yesterday. The one that really gets my actually, you know what? I want to talk about the Leafs and Montreal Canadiens. That's something they get going tonight, 5:00 my time, 7:00 Eastern Standard Time. Check your local listings. But there's one of those things that the NHL, I think they did that properly. You get a couple rivalry games right off the bat. You get the Montreal Canadiens, long storied franchise, obviously out there in Quebec, and 29,000 Stanley Cups, whatever it might be, and then obviously playing the Toronto Maple Leafs, which is obviously the belle of the ball of the National Hockey League, and it's they don't win a whole bunch of Stanley Cups, but they're very, very successful. Got a large fan base, and having those two teams face each other on their opening night of the NHL season, I think it's a very smart thing for the National Hockey League to do. It gets the interest looming right off the bat. Like a Toronto Nashville game wouldn't get the same kind of a coverage. It wouldn't get the same kind of buzz, and to get the hockey season going right, I think it's the right way to do things, because people are so enthralled in the baseball playoffs. People are so enthralled in football no matter what. So if you get a Wednesday night game like it is now, and you throw the Leafs Habs out there, it's going to get a national audience, get a lot of people excited, and it's a good thing for the game of hockey and gets people watching it right across the country right off the bat. And then later on tonight, when that's all said and done, you have the Edmonton Oilers and the Vancouver Canucks, another national game, everything else. So people will be very interested in that one. People will be in bed back east when that one gets going, which is obviously it's a weird thing for people out east to follow all the sports the way we can out here a little bit, because the games aren't too late. So we kind of have that bit of an advantage where you're not staying up past your bedtime on a school night to watch a game. But that Vancouver Edmonton game gets going tonight, and that's the big one for Connor McDavid. A different Connor altogether. It gets going on his quest to get that Stanley Cup. He's geez, they've lost the last 2 years, the eventual Stanley Cup champions. 2 years ago it was the Colorado Avalanche, where they just couldn't get any goaltending. They got swept aside because it was Mike Smith in net back then. They couldn't get a save for the life of them. And then last year, Soupy Campbell and Stuart Skinner were fighting the puck a little bit. And they didn't get it done. They lost to the Vegas Golden Knights, I think, in 6 games, whatever it was, and they couldn't get a save from them either. And it wasn't McDavid's fault by any means, but it's 8 years into the McDavid show up there in Edmonton, and you can't. Geez, it's already been 8 years. It's hard to believe it's gone by so quick. But now you're at a situation where McDavid's got to solidify his legacy a little bit, because you know what, you can go through your entire career not get a Stanley Cup, and it's one of those things you to be able to become a legend. I think you have to get yourself a Stanley Cup. He's already got a trophy case full of Art Ross trophies and Hart trophies and Maurice Richards and Lester B. Pearsons or Patrick or whatever the awards are, and you just more Ted Lindsay's, I guess. Lester B. Pearson. There's a trophy for that, isn't there? It doesn't much matter. But there is a thing that you got to think that he needs to win a Stanley Cup to solidify his legacy, to get himself that legendary status, to get to that next level of superstardom. Yes, he's the best player in the National Hockey League, the best player to ever play the game. Not the greatest, but the best player to ever play the game with the speed that he does things at and everything else. And he has to get himself in a position to win the Stanley Cup and get one done this year. Because you eventually just run out of chance to get that done. And he's in his 8th year now, and you can only get you plateau at your point totals. Like you look at Steve Yzerman, what he was doing back with the Red Wings back in the day, and he eventually plateaued at what he was doing for points when he became a different kind of a player. And it's more of a defensive guy, pass kind of guy, make sure we're taking care of our zone, taking care of everything else. Kind of a player with Scotty Bowman at the helm. But McDavid's not that kind of a guy. But like eventually you do plateau at points. I don't see him getting above 150 this year. It was they're playing like with a video game last year with that power play that was automatic. But McDavid has to find a way to get the team and lead that team to a Stanley Cup. It's not been his fault over the past 2 seasons why they didn't get it done and why they didn't get to further inning and get to the Stanley Cup Finals. But it's a thing now where McDavid, he's kind of taking the bull by the horns this summer, and he basically told, they've all been told his Oilers teammates to end up back in Edmonton a little bit early, cut their summer vacation short, and come for something that they call captain's practices. I'm sure a lot of other teams have done it over the past, but it was something that was highly documented because McDavid is on that quest to get that first Stanley Cup and get that monkey off his back and prove to the world that he can do it. I think that they have a team that can get something done. Of course, you have Leon Draisaitl there, who is probably second or third best on the planet. Depends what day of the week it is. He's a top 5. There's no getting around that. You can forget about McKinnon and Pasternak and even Cale Makar, who are right up there in the best in the world. And you can't forget Austin Matthews, who can score at will. But McDavid and Draisaitl are 2 guys that you think they want to get something done, and they want to get to a Stanley Cup in their hold. There hasn't been one in Canada since 1993. The last time anybody Edmonton won it was 1990 when Mark Messier won the first one without Wayne Gretzky there. And so it's one of those things. That's how you get that legendary status. You can win and not get a Stanley Cup, score goals at will and everything else. And like their power play did last year, you can have that and you can get things going. But come to playoff time, that's when you become a part of forever. And being a part of forever is something that all these guys strive to be. Yeah, you can be a legend in your own town and a legend in your fan base, but for the rest of the hockey world or the sports world to notice you and say that you are part of forever, you have to win something. And then there isn't anybody saying that McDavid's a bad hockey player. There's no one saying that McDavid is isn't an all-time great. But that's not what I'm saying. But he's at a level right now that is a little bit behind a guy like Mark Messier. Obviously, he hasn't played as long as Messier. He should surpass Messier. But he's at a level right now where if he doesn't get he'll get to the 1,000 points, get 1,500 points. But he's at a level way behind Sidney Crosby is right now, and there's no getting around that. Crosby has the 3 Stanley Cups. Yes, he's been in the league a little bit longer, and he has the Olympic gold medal and everything else. But until McDavid can go out there and win 2 or 3 Stanley Cups, he's going to be behind Sidney Crosby. He's not even at a level of Alex Ovechkin as of yet, because Ovechkin does have that 1 cup, and Ovechkin does have the chasing the Gretzky's 892 goals or whatever it was. But yes, McDavid has a few more years left in him, and it took a long time for Ovechkin to get that Stanley Cup. But for McDavid to get to that next level of legendary, he has to win something, and he has to get it done soon. Before you know it, you'll be in year 10, year 11, and there'll be some rebuilding. And hockey careers aren't as long as they used to be. These guys make a lot more money. They do take care of their bodies a little bit, but guys are out of the league a lot earlier than they were back in the 80s and 90s. Guys don't play past the age of 38 very often. Guys don't play which is weird that Scheifele and Hellebuck got those contracts in Winnipeg on Monday. If that wasn't a turkey dump, I don't know what was. That came out of nowhere, those contracts. We'll talk about the Winnipeg Jets maybe later on this week, but it's one of those things where McDavid, if he doesn't get it done this year, because like next year you have Leon Draisaitl is going to want to raise his contract is up next year, and then that's it for him. And you don't know what the other teams are doing. The Oilers have enough grit on their team with Evander Kane there to kind of play the role of a Matthew Tkachuk per se. That's how Tkachuk carried the Florida Panthers to the finals last year. I'm not saying that Kane's got the skill level as Tkachuk, but he's got the grit level that Tkachuk has, and he can be as much of an agitator as anybody. It's going to come down once again to the Edmonton Oilers getting some goaltending, getting some stops, and making sure that Soupy Campbell and Stuart Skinner can make a save here and there, because if they don't, they're not. It's going to be the exact same thing this year as it was last year, and there's no getting around that. Is McDavid on a bit of a mission? Yeah, there's a lot of people picking them to win the Stanley Cup. There's a lot of people that say that this is the year that they're going to finally get it done, that McDavid is a man possessed. But until the Oilers and Ken Holland can put a team together that's behind McDavid and Draisaitl, I don't know if they can get it done. McDavid has to be the center of that carousel. He obviously is, but he's what makes that wheel go round in Edmonton and throughout the National Hockey League. But he is the guy that has to get it done, and the pressure is on McDavid to get it done this year, because if not this year, when? Eventually you just run out of chances, and there's still some teams in the Western Conference alone that are very strong. Obviously the Stanley Cup champion, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, or Vegas Golden Knights, I guess they're only called, are still probably a top favorite. They're banged up. They played a little bit longer last year, and who knows what Stone, he don't like getting body checked apparently in the preseasons, like we talked about, me and Dave talked about a week or so ago, and they're getting a little bit older, but they find a way to get it done. And then you have a great team in Colorado who took a step back last year. Obviously they had a lot of injuries, but they're healthier this year, so they're going to be a tough team for the Oilers to get by in the playoffs. And if McDavid don't get it done this year, you just wonder when, and you wonder how. His trophy case is full. He can't fit any more in there. There's no getting around that. I'm sure he has something, a place on his mantle for his replica Stanley Cup trophy to hoist in his great big house, Edmonton, or wherever he decides to live once his career is over. I don't think he'll be sticking around Edmonton. Not that Edmonton's not a nice city, but I'm sure a guy with that many zeros behind his bank account can kind of find a place a little bit warmer locale when it's all said and done. But I expect the Oilers to have a very good season. I expect them to score a lot of goals. Their power play, like I said last year, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins was a reinvigorated player last year for the Edmonton Oilers when on that power play. He got a lot of points on that team, picking up Zach Hyman, and now they have Brown there, Connor Brown. They got some guys there that can put together a hockey team and put together Stanley Cup. It's the Draisaitl and McDavid show, and they're only going to go as far as their goaltending will take them. If they don't get some saves late in the season like they didn't get last year in the playoffs and the year before in the playoffs, then they'll be on the outside looking in, and it'd be too bad for a guy with the talent like McDavid has to not win a Stanley Cup. And because you look at a guy like Jerome McGinley. Yes, he's an all-time great and everything else. He's a legend in Calgary, but he's a legend in Calgary, right? And the way he chased cups at the end of his career, going to Colorado, then going to Pittsburgh, and then Boston, and then Pittsburgh, or whatever which way it went. It was not a bad look, but it was just it was almost a sad look, I guess, is one of those things. Chasing the ex-girlfriend around from town to town to hope she's going to fall in love with you again. You just wonder if it was worth it at the end of McGinley's career to not tarnish his legacy, but tarnish his legacy, because you look at all these guys with all the stats they got, they have the Hart trophies, they have everything else, but on their Hall of Fame plaque, I guarantee, and I got another guy was Marcel Dion, and I wrote an article about it yesterday. It's up on the 1420sportsbar.com. That guys like McGinley and guys like Marcel Dion, I guarantee you that they would rather have Stanley Cup champion somewhere on their plaque in the Hall of Fame, and not just how many goals they scored and everything else. Because at the end of the day, it's the team success and those kind of memories that and the bank account that matters. But it's the team success and becoming a legend and the legendary status and the joy you bring people that matters most. And there's nothing that brings sports fans of wherever it is. Nothing brings us sports fans together more than a championship and the dislike of another team. We'll get into that in half a second here on this day. But you just think that McDavid has to win one. He's already got everything he's going to need. If he retired tomorrow for whatever reason, he'd be in the Hall of Fame. I would put money on just with the amount of points he already has and the Art Ross trophies he has and everything else that he's already done in his short 8-year career. But you got to get that Stanley Cup to be considered a legend. And until you win one, you're not considered a legend, especially in Edmonton there, where they won 5 and 7 years or whatever it was with a couple of guys named Messier and Gretzky and Fuhrer and all those guys. I'm not gonna put Kevin Lowe on the legendary status, but he's got more Stanley Cups than the rest of those guys. I'm not saying that they won Stanley Cups because of Kevin Lowe, but he didn't hurt that team when it was all said and done. So yeah. Legends. That's what these guys strive to be when they get to a certain level of hockey. Yeah, there's guys who play in the National Hockey League who are fourth line plumbers. And they appreciate the job, but it's the superstars that want to be mega stars. And McDavid's one of those ones. He's the biggest star in the game right now. There's no getting around that. And but he has to go out and get one done this year. And once again, if not, when? This is the year, McDavid. Go out and get one done. We'll put some money down on Bet US or on Bodog or somewhere and see what you can do before the season gets going here. Should be an interesting game tonight in Vancouver. Vancouver's got a little bit better team this year. They remember when Rick Tocchet took over last year, and they got better. They got that boost whenever a coach gets fired. They tend to win a few games here and there. There's some changes after Brucey Boudreau was let go, and then Rick Tocchet took over and changed things up. But they have a better team this year. Are they a playoff team? Probably not. They're not going to win Stanley Cup by any means in Vancouver. And there's going to be the outrage come tomorrow morning again, guaranteed. Same team, same results in Vancouver. So it's going to be interesting to see it all going. Leafs, Canadians tonight. Too bad. Baltimore Orioles. Too bad. You guys, your season came to an end last night in baseball. You just couldn't pitch well enough to stop that juggernaut Texas Rangers team. It's unbelievable how good that team is. And the Houston Astros just keep rolling, don't they? Like, it's unbelievable how that team just keeps going. It looks like it's going to be an all Texas battle in the ALCS, which should be a lot of fun. Get going there. And they got the Phillies and Braves battling out tonight, so that should be a great baseball game. Said it yesterday, I said it before. This is the best time of year to be a sports fan. It's all rolling. There's lots to talk about here at 1420 Sports Bar. So make sure you guys are tuning in on a daily basis to get my 2 cents on it. Make sure you drop us a line at 1420sports@gmail.com or just drop us on our social media accounts. We always appreciate the comments and talks and everything else. And make sure you hit that subscribe button up on your screen there if you're watching us on YouTube today. Thank you very much. And also, there it is. Here's SeatGeek. Here's a word from our friends at SeatGeek.
The foul baller. If there's a ball that's gone foul, he's gone to get it. Under his watchful gaze, all bevs, binoculars, and ballpark brats are safe. He's the only thing that stands between his section and certain destruction. That's why he only trusts SeatGeek with his tickets. The ticketing app trusted by fans. SeatGeek, so fans can fan.
All right, a little coffee disaster there during that commercial break. A little coffee all over the face and all over my shirt, but whatever. We'll get through it. It's not a big deal. Let's get into her. On this day in 2003, the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees faced off in Game 3 of the American League Championship Series at Fenway Park in Boston, Massachusetts. Tempers began to flare in the top of the 4th inning when the Yankees were up 3-2 when Pedro Martinez threw a pitch a little higher and tighter than Yankees right fielder Kareem Garcia liked. Well, it actually hit him, so it's one of those things. Things really went sideways in the bottom half of the inning when Manny Ramirez took exception to a pitch that wasn't at all close to hitting him from Roger Clemens. Then things really went sideways when the benches cleared and 72-year-old Yankees bench coach Don Zimmer charged after Pedro Martinez. Martinez grabbed him by the head, as you can see there, threw him to the ground, and all hell kind of broke loose. The Yankees won Game 3, 4-3, and the series in 7 games 5 nights later is one of the most epic games or epic series in the history of Major League Baseball. Yankees-Red Sox rivalry, and on it went. 6-5, 11-inning win off a walk-off home run from Yankees third baseman and current manager of the Yankees, Aaron Boone, on this day in 2003. It's crazy to think it was 20 years ago when all that was going down. And that rivalry was so great. It's not a rivalry anymore. It's not. It's posed as one, but it was so great. It was intense back then. If you're a Yankees fan, a Red Sox fan, or just a baseball fan in general, that was just it was such theatrics every night during that 2003 ALCS with the brawls and the comebacks and the fights and everything else. And this is the Yankees, how they just found a way to win all the time. And it was a great series. It was a fun part to watch and be a part of it. Like I said, it's hard to believe that was 20 years ago. And that pitch was never even close to hitting Ramirez. I don't know what he was barking about. What an idiot. That guy was an idiot. I'm getting revved up at 9:06 in the morning here at 1420 World Headquarters thinking about that series. But anyways, what do we got here? Happy 62nd birthday to Pro Football Hall of Famer Steve Young. Young was born on this day in 1961 in Salt Lake City, Utah. Young's pro football career got off to a bit of a rocky start after his college career ended at BYU. He played a couple seasons in the USFL for the Los Angeles Express. Once that league cratered, he played 2 seasons for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where he went 3-16 as a starter. The Bucs figured that he was a bust and traded him to the San Francisco 49ers after drafting Vinny Testaverde first overall in the 1987 draft. But Young served as a backup to Joe Montana shortly after that. Then things really got going for Young once he took the starting role when Montana got hurt. He won the MVP in 92 and 94, 2 Super Bowls as a starter for the 49ers, 7-time Pro Bowler in his career. Young passed for 33,124 yards, rushed for 4,239 more, threw for 232 touchdowns, rushed for 43 more. Steve Young was inducted into the Professional Football Hall of Fame in 2005 and probably the best left-handed quarterback in NFL history. I just threw that in there for whatever. I can't think of 5 more, but no, happy birthday to Steve Young. Great football player. And he probably could have caved in and said that's enough, but he believed in himself a little bit. So it's kind of like how we should all go through life. As you know, he could have gave up after the USFL, and then when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers gave up on him, but he ended up winning himself a couple Super Bowls. Now he's on TV, and the rest of history was Steve Young, right? Just little perseverance, you can get things done. Like Corey Hart said, never surrender back in 1983. One of those, there's a little history for you. And don't do this very often, but this one kind of deserves this one. A little tip of the cap goes out to Barry Melrose, who's stepping away from his job with ESPN, as revealed he has Parkinson's. Over 50 years in the game of hockey as a player, coach, analyst, and the like. He coached the Mess Hat Tigers back to Memorial Cup in the Western Hockey League junior hockey back in 87-88 before moving on to the LA Kings. And he remembered the long hair and everything else and the mullet and everything with those Kings teams. Almost won a Stanley Cup in 1993 with Wayne Gretzky. Out there. He's one of the greatest coaches, one of the best motivators, and now then he's on TV for a long time. Always a good sense of humor. So the 1420 tip of the cap goes out to Barry Melrose. They're going to be battling cancer or Parkinson's, Parkinson's, and best of luck to him and his family on moving forward. But yeah, it's tough to step away, obviously. But when it just goes to show that family, there's stuff outside the world of sports that matters, right? And there's a lot of things going on in the world of sports that get people revved up and get people upset. But you know what? When you see people fighting in the stands, you go, what the hell? Because you got guys like Barry Melrose who make a living out of it. And he's stepping away to be with his family and take care of the things that are important in life. And lastly, but not least, the National Hockey League took the step yesterday to ban the pride tape from hockey sticks and everything else. And for a league that says that it's inclusion of everyone and hockey's for everyone, and the stance that they say that they take, they really find a way to barf all over themselves and step away from that thought process. Whether you like it or not, or don't believe it or don't, the pride flag and the pride symbolism is basically just for inclusion, and that's what it was, or that's what it is. It's a safe place for kids to realize that they belong and they can be part of something. And it's just that they know I can be accepted. And you wonder why the NHL steps away from that. And then they say they're not going to have the military jersey nights. They're not going to have the Native awareness jerseys, the orange jersey nights anymore. And they're going to stay away from that kind of stuff. You wonder why. Like, you just wonder why. What's it hurt when you have a platform like the NHL does, or any sport does? Why not let it out there and let it be known that you're for everybody. You're trying to help out the cause and help out society and help people out. And to get rid of the pride tape thing, you just wonder what they were thinking. It doesn't hurt anybody. It only helps a small community, a small portion of people, and it helps people know that they're part of something and that they can help out and that they can be included too. You just think over the years, I think we talked about it a while. Like, we had some crazy crap going on in Fort McLeod there with the drag shows and stuff. That's where I'm from, is Fort McLeod. And then there was some damage done to the local theater and burning the pride flags and things. But it just doesn't make any sense to me why people would do that. But when a kid doesn't feel included, he'll step away. When a kid is when he knows he's gay, he knows himself that he's gay, he knows before anybody else does. And when they're scared to admit what's going on and don't have a safe place to go to or a person to talk to, then it can only get worse for them. So having the pride inclusion is one thing that shouldn't be looked down upon or banned from anywhere. You just wonder how many kids over the years before it's always been okay to be gay, but before it was okay to I think you guys know what I'm wording here. Before it's okay to come out of the closet and say, you know what, it's okay to be gay. It's just part of life. It's happening for forever. You wonder how many kids didn't go to play hockey or basketball or football or soccer or whatever it might have been because they didn't want to be made fun of in the dressing room or on the ice, and some, because there were some pretty mean things that were said in 30 years ago when I was playing hockey to people who weren't gay, right? So you remember that goes on. You wonder how many kids just stepped away from the game of hockey completely. And when they say hockey's for everyone, but not everyone all the time, that's what it kind of looked like to me. It was a bad look for the National Hockey League yesterday to do that. And you just wonder if a superstar like Connor McDavid went on the ice tonight in Vancouver and he just said, you know what, screw it, find me. I don't care. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Not let me play hockey? You wonder if McDavid on the ice with pride tape. He was pretty vocal about it yesterday on television, but you just wonder if McDavid or Austin Matthews or whoever else, because Morgan Riley for the Leafs, he spoke up about it yesterday on SportsCenter too as well. So you wonder if all these superstars came out and said, you know what, you can't tell us what tape to put on our hockey sticks, and what are you gonna do? Find me? Tell me not to use my stick? Fuck you! There, first swear word at 9:12 in the morning. But there it is. That's my thoughts on the pride tape. NHL, bad luck on you. And kids, if you are listening to this and you want someone to talk to reach out to somebody, there's always someone to talk to and be included. Because you know what, your rights matter just as much as anybody else. It doesn't hurt anybody to have the pride tape. Doesn't hurt anybody for any of that stuff. So why the NHL stepped away from it is a mystery to me. But there it is. Anyways, there's my little rant for the day, my little ramble. It goes kind of get rambling on. It's about some stuff that goes on through my mind. Remember, check out our website for the1420sportsbar.com. Articles going up on there daily in our online shop, and it has all the links to all our shows and everything on there. Go to bellyupsports.com for all their great articles. And check out some other podcasts. Listen to some of our old podcasts. Talk about ours. Hit the subscribe button. But most of all, remember, it doesn't matter where you are. It's who you're with. Have a good day, folks, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. You just listened to the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. For beer with sports talk and a whole lot more. We are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Let's